Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 3 of MV Students.
We got some special guests tonight and we're kicking off a brand new series.
Yeah guys, it's gonna be super awesome. We're really excited about this one, so stick around. Let's do this.
Woo!
Yeah, we came a long way. That's what the song say. And I could do all things. I could do all things. Yeah, I could do all things. Yeah, we came a long way.
Hey everybody, we have a few guests here. At the end of the table, we have Hannah Naughton.
Hey guys.
And to my right at the center, we have my good friend, buddy old pal, John Martinez.
What's going on, MV Students?
So, John, how long have we known each other for?
I'd say probably going on about 10 years now, going back to, House, junior high. We've had a ton
such
of
good times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have
memories.
so much history together. I mean, we've learned guitar together. You're one of my groomsmen.
Yeah.
We've mountain biked together, wrestled.
Yeah, led camps together, hung out countless times.
Yes.
We've definitely had
so many good memories. I love it.
adventures.
Oh, Hannah, I almost forgot to talk to you. So, how long have you guys known each other for?
2 years, about
2
2
years,
years.
yeah.
Okay, so like a quarter of our time. So, I don't mean to brag, but I clearly know John more. So
I think so.
just want to put that out there.
We do hang out a lot more.
Okay, Hannah, it's not a competition, okay?
Okay. We do talk a lot more too.
Okay, cool. All right, we're gonna settle this once and for all with the game of Best Friends. This is how it's gonna work, guys. John is going to ask a question about himself, and we have to answer the question to determine who is the best friend. But John, you cannot talk at all.
What?
You have to zip it. Zip
Dreams come
it.
true.
Oh.
So not at all. I can't say a
Nada.
word.
Nothing.
Jeez, okay.
All right, so let's get this ball rolling. John?
Oh, definitely me. What is my favorite candy?
I think I know this. Ready? Mm-hmm. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Reese's.
Come on, Snickers. What? No? Reese's? Really, John? Okay.
Off to a bad start, aren't we, Matthew?
A little bit.
What is my spirit animal?
Oh, this is simple. 3, 2, 1. Polar bear? Hulk. What? Come on, dude. Really? Polar bear? Dude, you're basically the Hulk. Come on.
Look at his hair.
10? 10 questions? 10 what? I don't know what that means.
10 years.
10 years.
I can even understand him when he's quiet.
Ouch. All right, John?
What have I gotten a ticket for?
I noticed. Sorry for the bad handwriting. Oh, I got this one in the bag. Oh yeah, trespassing! And John, who was with you when you got that ticket? Yep. So John and I went to the skate park and the gates were closed and locked. So we hopped the fence and then a cop came and got a ticket. So $50 down the drain. Come on, really? Really, John? Dude, I feel like you're favoring her right now. That's not cool. Duh? I thought we were friends. We have history. Don't tell me to calm down. So whatever you're thinking, I have an idea.
I do too.
Okay, I'm done. You guys done yet?
Yep.
All right.
It's not my best.
This is a tough one, honestly, but I think I got this. So I'll reveal mine first. Look, it's me and John.
Who's in the corner?
Oh, that's you, crying. Hey, now let's see yours first. Whoa! You just drew that?
Yeah.
What? Are you kidding me?
Thumbs up!
Whoa! You totally planned that.
They saw me drawing.
You don't have an eraser. You're not blowing away eraser shavings.
What is my favorite camp game?
Hannah, have you ever been to summer camp? John and I have been to many summer camps before. We've led at summer camp together. Got this one in the bag. fight night. Earthball!
You guys cheated.
Cheated? Oh, come on. You guys had the Rapunzel together. All right, last question. You know what? Winner takes all. Let's do this. John?
What am I having for lunch?
How are we supposed to know this? Just take a wild guess?
10 years, Matt. We're winning.
All right. Take a wild guess here. Okay. You got yours? Winner takes all here. Nervous?
Nope. Are you?
Nope.
You have a little sweat stains going.
Hey, jeez. All right, let's just get this over with. 3, 2, 1. Tacos with onion. 4 cheese souffle with spinach, bacon, and a side of ranch. Yes!
No, you guys totally planned that. That's cheating.
Winner!
That's cheating.
Winner! Come on, no, it's not. Hey,
You cheated.
That's all the time we have for you guys.
Cheaters.
You're fine, all right? Yeah! Woo, woo, woo. Guys, thank you for joining us. That's all the time we have. That was a blast.
Oh, sorry, Matt. You worked so hard on that. We have a lot more free time on our hands now that we're quarantined, and so we want to give you a challenge and a simple way to say thank you for being a part of these episodes with us. We appreciate your comments, we appreciate your involvement, and we love being a part of a student community with you. We want to send you and your family a pizza dinner on us to say thanks. And the way that you participate is by building a card tower. Send us a picture of that card tower to get entered into a drawing. For every layer of cards that you add will be an extra ticket towards your name. We'll pull a winner from a hat next episode and we'll announce the winner then. You can send us those pictures by messaging us or DMing us on Instagram or by emailing the link below. But we're excited to see your card towers and we can't wait to send you a pizza dinner. So good luck, guys. Matt and I are standing here outside of Lake Catherine, and the place that we originally wanted to film is not too far behind us, but as we started walking there was this big orange sign that said path closed, and we felt like just stopping right here is the perfect place to start our new series. A lot of us had plans, a lot of us had a path that we were going down, some of us were finishing up our senior year, and all of a sudden we hit this big orange roadblock sign saying we can't go any further. And with that comes real loss and real frustration. We feel the heartbreak and the distance that you feel with your friends right now. We feel the frustration and the loss that we have when things that we started couldn't be finished. In the midst of that, we kind of ask, God, where are you? God, what are you doing? And I think the temptation for us to do is just to put our lives on hold. But for the people of God, this is the time for us to press in. All throughout the Bible, when there was a detour, God used that detour to prepare his people for incredible things. So we want to introduce you to a man whose life took an incredible detour. And though his plans were put on hold, God's purposes for him never failed. And we get to see through this man's life that even though the plans had stopped, God used it to fulfill his purposes in some incredible ways. And I believe that if we can take this time and study these words, I believe God has an important word for us in this time of preparation.
Yeah, Mike, I think there's so much we can relate to with Joseph's story. I mean, he was one of 12 kids. Can you imagine? I mean, right now you're at home, maybe stuck with one, maybe 2 siblings. But can you imagine being quarantined with 11 brothers? That'd be crazy.
It'd be rough.
But Joseph had big dreams and he had big plans. And it seemed like everything kept getting worse and worse with every corner he turned before it got better. And his story picks up right at the end of Genesis.
So I want to encourage you during this time to go back to the end of Genesis. We find Joseph's story really picking up in chapter 37 of Genesis. It's the first book of the Bible. If you have your orange Bibles, you can follow along with us. If you have your Bible app, you can. But over the next few weeks, we want you to keep going back to Joseph's life and read it on your own and see what God reveals to you as you do. In Genesis chapter 37, verse 5, we read, Joseph had a dream. When he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. There we were, binding sheaves with grain in the field, and suddenly my sheaf stood up, and your sheaves gathered around it and bowed down to my sheaf. Are you really going to reign over us? His brothers asked him. Are you really going to rule us? And so they hated him even more because of the dream he had and what he had said.
Have you guys ever gotten news that you were just so excited to share with people, and instead of getting excitement, you just got jealousy or anger? And Joseph had a big dream that he was going to be an important role in God's plan for his people, and his brothers hated him even more for it.
Yeah, and they got super jealous about it, and it gets worse. It says they saw him in the distance, and before they had reached him, they plotted to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes that dreamer. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of the pits. We could say that a vicious animal ate him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams."
Instead of seeing Joseph's dreams lead to success, they'd rather see him dead. I mean, that's just terrible. And here we thought God's plans were going to lead to amazing things, but instead it led to hardship.
Yeah, and I think that's sometimes the misconception that we have when following God is that we put our trust in God and we put our trust in Jesus, and then things are going to start going our way. But just when things get the worst is actually when I think God starts to show his best. Just because we're facing hardships right now doesn't mean that God's plans and purposes have been put off. In fact, it's going to be these very circumstances that God is going to use to fulfill his plans for Joseph. It just takes seeing it from a different perspective. Hey, so Matt and I just finished filming that last point at Lake Catherine, and on our way back we were talking about how easy it is to say something like, let's just get God's perspective, and it's another thing to have it. And I think one of the struggles with social media today is we're seeing lots of posts about having great and tremendous faith in God and seeing the things that he could do. But I think the problem is we can't just jump to the end and have God's perspective until we sit in the pit. I mean, think of Joseph's life in this moment. Joseph had his dreams, he had his life in front of him, he had lots of plans, and it came to a staggering halt. I mean, life just got put on hold immediately for him. And not just the kind of hold of like, maybe I'm just gonna get out of this or not, but for Joseph, it was a real thing where he didn't know whether or not he was gonna live. Can you put yourself there? Try to imagine what it's like to be in a deep pit, in a deep hole, looking up with no way to climb out, and how utterly alone Joseph must have felt. For Joseph, he had to sit in the pit before he can get God's perspective.
Yeah, think about Joseph. He didn't know what was happening. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know how God was going to use this in his story. And that's kind of where we're at right now. I heard this really good analogy once about, imagine someone who's never seen modern medicine before. And he comes to America and he's watching a C-section. It might be a little graphic, but bear with me. And he's watching this guy with a mask, the doctor, go up to a woman, cut her open, take out her baby, and take the baby out of the room. And they're screaming, horrifying scene. But in reality, it's the doctor that is saving the life of the baby and the woman. And that's kind of where Joseph is right now. He doesn't see what's happening. He doesn't see the end goal.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that analogy. As graphic as it was, I think it's kind of a picture of where we're at. Like, we're in a state of confusion right now. Someone else seems to know what's going on, but we don't. But while we're in the pit, we have a great opportunity to turn to God. In fact, we're actually in great company because there's a whole book of the Bible called Psalms.
Yeah, I wonder what Joseph was thinking. What was going through his head? We don't know, but like Mike said, there is a book in the Bible that has a collection of prayers to God of people who were in the pit and didn't know where else to turn. If you have your Bibles, turn to Psalm 40 with us. David says, "I waited patiently for the Lord, and he turned to me and heard my cry for help. He brought me up from a desolate pit, out of the muddy clay, and set my feet on a rock, making my steps secure. He put a new song in my mouth and a hymn of praise to our God."
Psalmist begins by saying, I waited patiently for the Lord. And that is something that is not going to be easy. There's no speeding this process up. There's no speeding the waiting. But just because we're waiting doesn't mean that we're not active. Waiting patiently is a verb. And so as you and I wait on God, I am trusting that God is going to put a new song in your heart and my heart.
So until this is lifted, I think what you and I need to do is take some time to sit and be patient with God. Do what the psalmist did and write an honest prayer. Write down what you're grieving, what you're frustrated with, and take it before the Lord so he could set you on a solid rock.
So after this video, we want to challenge you to pause, reflect, and get real with God. Take out a piece of paper and write an honest prayer before God about what you're waiting on. But as we do, let's trust that when we're waiting, we're actually working. When you and I are waiting, it's not a passive endeavor for us as people of faith. We press into God, we lean into hope, and we listen for Him. And as we do, we're going to trust that God is going to lift us up out of the pit that we're in and place you and me on a firm rock. Do you believe that? Do you believe God can do that for you? And right now, we're on the top of Moraine Valley Church, and from a higher vantage point, Palos Heights looks totally different. And so often we spend our time at the ground level, not seeing it from our perspective. And I wonder if that's how Joseph saw things too. But you and I know better. We're surrounded by people who've gone before us and who've seen God prevail. They've seen His faithfulness. And so as we wait, let's wait to get God's perspective so He can show us how much more there is to see that He has yet to do in you and me. We'll see you next week.